Right, welcome back to you. Fighting game player and two-time Red Bull Hit the Streets champion Jabhi, also known as JabhiM. Jabhi Mabuza is a rising star in the world of competitive gaming. Born with a passion for video games, JabhiM quickly honed his skills in the fighting game genre, particularly in Street Fighter. Held since 2015, the Red Bull Kumite Street Fighter 6 tournament is heading to the southernmost tip of Africa for the very first time from the 1st to the 2nd of July this year in Pretoria. Of course, Jabhi joins us now in studio for a quick chat. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. For the benefit of our viewers, quickly, just briefly tell us what exactly eSport is.
So, first of all, thanks for having me. Esports is electronic sports. You know, it's gaming, it's competitive gaming. You know, making money off gaming or winning tournaments, it's generally esports. You know, the nice thing about esports is to watch it, it's all free. You can watch it on Twitch, YouTube. You don't have to have you know, the best of devices. You know, as long as you got data, you can watch esports.
So the Kumite tournament is being hosted in South Africa, in Africa actually, for the very, very first time. Tell us a bit about the tournament. How exactly does it work? You just said, you know, you can watch it at home. I'm sure many people, when they look at eSport, they picture somebody sitting in their couch at home, and not necessarily that there is a tournament where people gather. So how exactly does it work?
So Kumite is a very prestigious tournament hosted by Red Bull. For the first time, as you mentioned, it's going to be in African soil in South Africa, to be specific. The guys are already losing their minds. So how it works is, just like we're talking right now, there's going to be a screen, be your screen, there's going to be my screen, console in between. There'll be Street Fighter 6 happening there, and then we'll be playing just like that. First to 2 rounds gets a game, you know. So most of the tournaments, like first to 2, double elimination. So which means first to 2, maybe you win 4 rounds, you get 2 games, you know. You lose, doesn't mean it's the end of it, you go to the lower bracket. No. But Kumite has always a unique format. Now the main event is going to have a first to 5 single elimination, which means this time if you lose, it's done.
You lose.
You know, you lose. It's going to be a very hype tournament, and I can't stress how it's like to watch guys actually play, and you're in there, the crowd's going nuts. You know, you feel like, you know, it's an actual sports. You know, and if guys really want to come through, they can go to redbull.com and just type in Kumite on the search. They should see the details on how to get to become a spectator for the main event on the 2nd of July.
So I heard there's some gameplay mechanics. Things have changed now in Street Fighter 6. So explain that to us. How exactly is it going to affect the tournament coming up on the 1st and 2nd of July? And also these changes, have you guys had sufficient time to play around with it?
Yes, so Street Fighter 6 has introduced what we call the drive system, you know. So this is unique. It's a unique mechanic where you have your drive impact, your drive rush. These are all things to enhance your character's ability, you know. But the problem is that now it runs out, you know, and if it runs out, you're at a significant disadvantage. So now you have to really think about how to use your meter. You know, it does recover over time if you don't use it. But now that's where now the mind game on resource management really comes into effect, you know, and it really shaped on how the game is played defensively and offensively.
So are there any players that you are a bit wary of going into the tournament? Is there anyone that you think is a bit of a thorn in your side and you're a bit scared of them?
If I'm being honest, I'm not really scared of anybody, you know, but I do want to play Arsenal and Ash, the best second player in the world. And I want to play Tokido, who's the top 5 Street Fighter players in the world. You know, those are the ones, they're the 2 that if I take out, and I wouldn't say I'm done, but I'd be like, okay, you know what, it's time to shine. Definitely.
Talking about the changes, also the gameplay mechanics, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention that you are planning on playing with my favorite player. Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah, you can say it.
Chun-Li. Chun-Li is my favorite player of all time when it comes to Street Fighter, because she's the first female Street Fighter, for those of you who don't know. So I'm very excited that you are playing with Chun-Li. How do these changes, though, affect that?
Wow, Chun-Li in Street Fighter 6 has really, how do I say, she has really evolved. You know, in the latest entry, they made her difficult to play, but more rewarding once you know how to play Chun-Li. You know, she's always been what we call whiff punish heavy character, which means you can't throw out buttons anyhow because her long reach will catch you while your button is recovering. Now that they added a stance, so she can go into different stance depending on how you maneuver from mid-range to close range, it made it difficult to really process that motion, you know. But once you get it intact, she becomes a dangerous one.
That's why Chun-Li is a woman. So how do you train for all of this? You know, we're used to, when it comes to other sporting codes that we're more familiar with, your football, your rugby, cricket, all of those things. You know, we know what they put into to be fit and ready for their games. But this is esports, so it's very different. How do you prepare?
So in esports, you have to look at the matchups. You know, how you approach. If you're since I'm a Chun-Li player, if I'm going up against Ryu, I can't play the matchup against Ryu the same way I'd play against Ken. It's all different. So I need to learn on where Chun-Li wins, you know. So if I'm playing against Zangief, you know, I know Chun-Li wins that matchup because her long buttons keep Zangief at bay, you know, so it's hard for him to get in on Chun-Li. So now I need to watch a lot of footage on how other players approach this matchup, and then I need to now come up with my specific strategy on how to approach the matchup. There's also a new language called frame data, which it's a different ballgame, and it's a bunch of numbers that we have to really put in, understand that, okay, if Zangief presses this button, he's minus this, or is he at an advantage? Do I block? Do I attack? So I need to keep that all in mind. And also, when it comes to tournaments, you know, especially in person, you have to keep that composure. You know, so that means your mental state needs to be on point. You know, there's a bunch of ways you obviously can do this. Exercising is the best way. You know, unfortunately, it doesn't matter which game it is or which sports it is, you can't run away from that.
That is true. I think even for an office job, exercising is key. You know, it really keeps the brain going. I'm being told that we have run out of time, so very quickly before we go, for our viewers at home who do want to watch you and the guy from Japan, the guy from Pakistan that you're hoping to beat come the 1st and 2nd of July, which site do they go to again?
Sorry. Oh, they go to Redbull.com. On the search, they can just click on, they can just type in Kumite.
Kumite.
It's going to show them Red Bull South Africa Kumite, or they can just go to Google and just say Red Bull South Africa Kumite. It's just the first thing that pops up is Red Bull Kumite.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was competitive fighting game player and two-time Red Bull Hit the Streets champion, Jabhi Mabuza. There is, of course, a Street Fighter 6 tournament that's coming up on the 1st and 2nd of July. It's being hosted in Africa for the very first time in our own backyard, guys. It's going to be in Pretoria. We'll have more sport for you later.